Alternate Methods of Multiplication and Division, Part 2. In this part of the video, we're going to look at duplication and mediation, in other words, doubling and cutting in half, and scaffold division. Duplication and mediation is a really great and cool method, but probably not for kids. Supposedly, it was used by Russian peasants to multiply, but there's no actual evidence that Russian peasants really used it. Actual evidence meaning a letter or a description in a diary, nothing like that. All you have to do is double the numbers and then add. No actual multiplying needed, which is why I want to show you this method. It's really awesome. So here we go. Let's try multiplying 243 by 41 using duplication, which is doubling, and mediation, which is cutting in half. You double one of the sides and cut the other side in half. It doesn't matter which side you choose to double or which side you choose to cut in half. So let's start by doubling the 243 side. But if you want, after we're all done, you can try it the other way around. You can double the 41 side and cut the 243 side in half. Here goes. 243 doubled, which means times 2, is 486. 41 cut in half is 20. Well, actually, there's a little remainder there, right? It's not exact, but we ignore that decimal or that remainder. Double and cut in half again. 486 times 2 is 972. 20 divided by 2 is 10. And again, we double 972 and get 1,944, cut 10 in half and get 5. And again, 3,888 and 2. Well, actually, not exactly 2, right? 5 cut in half, 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. But we ignore that decimal or that remainder. And finally, one more time, we stop here when we get to 1, because if we kept going and tried to cut 1 in half, we'd just get the decimal 1/2, which we're supposed to ignore. Now what do? Now we cross out all the pairs where the cut in half side, that's this side, is even. So look at this side, and I already kind of showed it to you for a second. This one is an even number, right? 20 is an even number. So what we want to do is cross out this whole pair where 20 is even. Do you see another even number here? Even means divisible by 2. Even on this cut in half side? Yes, 10. 10 is even. Cross out the whole pair. Any other even number? 2 is even. Cross out the whole pair. Now, add up the numbers that you have left on the doubled side. So this one, 243, plus this one, 1,944, plus this last one here. Add them up and you get your answer. This is the same, 9,963, as if you multiplied them. Give it a try. Multiply those two numbers on your calculator. Wow, right? Try it the other way around. Pause the video for a second. See if you can cut this side in half and double this side and cross out all the pairs where the cut in half side is even. You'll see that it works this way too. Why does it work? To see why, write the number 41 in binary. That's base 2. This is good practice for you. So pause the video for a second. See this? Here we got the powers of 2. And try to see what you would get if you put in the correct numbers here to equal out to 41. Remembering that in binary, you only have a 0 or a 1 in here. That's all. All you can have in here is a 1 or a 0. So see what you would put in here, pause the video, and see what you get. See if you got it right. You should have a 1 in the 32's place. And then you have 9 left, which is 1/8. Right? And 9 minus 8 is 1, so no 4s, and no 2s, and just a 1 to end. So 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1. Now if we line up this number alongside the duplication and mediation, what you see is here, that's the 32, right? Then you see the 0 right here, and then the 1, that's the 8. And then the 1 up top is the 1 in the 1's place. When you multiply by 1, you get that number itself, right? When you multiply by 0, it gets crossed out. That's the pair that got crossed out. Now, I won't ask you this on a test or quiz, so don't panic. But I did want you to get a chance to see that the reason it works is because binary doubles the numbers, just like we do in duplation, doubling, and halving. And if it's 0, that's the crossed out pair, because when you multiply by 0, you get 0. Onward. So let's now talk about when you would use this. Probably not to teach elementary school students. It's pretty complicated, right? So actually, the reason I showed it to you is because of its great connection to binary, to doubling, and also to show you a kind of multiplication that doesn't require times tables at all. I just think that's really cool. So I'd like you to try it. And try the homework in it, and I will ask you some questions to try duplation and mediation on the quiz and on the test. So now we're going to go on to scaffold division. This is useful for 4th or 5th grade. It's not just for fun. And it's a great way to start understanding division with large numbers. It uses easy numbers that your 4th or 5th or even 3rd grader can multiply without a calculator. So here's an example. We start by looking at 6 into 210, because that's what we've got here, 6 into 210. Think of the easiest thing you could multiply 6 by. Well, you could multiply 6 times 2, right? But 6 times 2 is so small, it doesn't get you up to 210. On the other hand, if we multiply 6 times 10, that's 60. That's a pretty easy multiplication. 6 times 100 is too big, so we won't use that because we want to get numbers that fit into 210. So here goes. We try 10 because 6 times 10 is easy to do, and 60 fits into 210. We subtract the 60. We have 150 left, which gives us room for 10 more 6s. So we use 10 again. And we subtract the 60 that we got from 6 times 10. And we now have 90 left, and we do 10 again. Why are we doing 10, 10, 10? Because 10 times 6 is 60, which goes into 90. Now we have 30 left. 6 times 3 is 18, which does fit into 30, right? And then we have 2 more 6s that fit in, and then we're done. Now, you might have noticed right here, we could have, instead of 3 and 2, we could have done 5. 5 goes into 60 evenly, but remember, we're trying to sort of think of what would 4th and 5th graders think of to use. They might not think of 5 times 6 is 30. The answer is when we're all done, we get down to 0 or the remainder, and we add up these numbers that we used, 10, 10, 10, 3, and 2, which is 35. And sure enough, if you try on your calculator 210 divided by 6, you get 35. And up here, you might have noticed, if you had to keep doing 10 over and over again, you could have done 20. Right here, right? 6 times 20 is 120, which would fit into 210. Or you could have done 30 right here, which fits even better. And that way you start getting close to your standard algorithms for division. But when you show this to me on a quiz or test, I want you to show it to me with the easy numbers that a 4th or 5th grader might use. So the lattice method and the scaffold method of division are great ways to teach kids, right? Not the duplation and mediation, but definitely the lattice method of multiplication and the scaffold method of division. But they might confuse parents, right? So parents can get upset that they don't understand their kids' homework and that they can't help with the kids' homework. So it's really important to help parents see the methods. A lot of schools will hold workshops for parents so that they can see what their child is learning. Some parents are convinced, though, that the strange new strategies mean that their children are learning an inferior kind of math. It's very sad. And it's not bad. It's a great to have these additional alternate methods to use if we want to use them.